Gathered around this tight little table, in addition to Kat, who you just heard, beautiful voice, thank you very much. Pam Richart, Parson Brown, who does not look to be a parson, but I think that's actually his real name. And unusually and unexpectedly, but except by me, our own Alderman, Joe Moore, who recently took a trip organized by Pam and the Eco-Justice Collaborative to West Virginia. So as a Chicago boy, like me being a Chicago girl, I know I've been in the mountains of West Virginia. I love those worn down hills. They're little hills, but with huge history. Tell us your impression of having taken this trip, this very important trip.
Good morning, Katie. And
Good morning, Joe.
We'll have to leave shortly because we're going to be greeting our First Lady over at the Willie White Recreation Center. But I did want to stop by. I think it's important to note that this is not just about the mountains in West Virginia. It's also about the health of the citizens of Chicago and about the health of our planet. I went down to Tennessee at the invitation of the Eco-Justice Collaborative, West Virginia, at the invitation of the Eco-Justice Collaborative to see firsthand the devastating effects that the use of coal as our primary energy source has on that region of the country. And as you indicated, West Virginia is one of the most beautiful places in the whole world. The lovely hills and mountains of the Appalachians are just breathtaking. But also equally breathtaking and devastating is what the coal companies have done to that countryside. Literally taking the tops off of mountains that have taken literally millions of years to be created by God and having them destroyed. And no way can you see the devastation more than getting on an airplane, as we were able to do, and flying over that and just seeing huge tracks, literally miles upon miles of open scars in what was once one of the most beautiful places in the whole world.
And is that all in West Virginia? Does it straddle the border with one of its neighbors?
I think it's primarily West Virginia.
Yeah.
But certainly that it would be a concern in places like Pennsylvania, which also has the mountains, and North Carolina and other places where the coal just doesn't know state boundaries.
Yep.
It's something that we need to do to head this off as much as possible.
When you spoke with people there, what stands out to you as a lesson you bring back to us, or that refurbishes your resolution to work against these practices?
Well, what stood out to me was the courage of these folks. West Virginia is a very, very economically depressed state. A lot of really intense poverty, and people are afraid, and a lot of people. The number of jobs in the coal industry has been reduced greatly as they moved away from coal mining, underground mining, to this mountaintop removal. It takes a lot fewer people to blow up a side of a mountain and extract the coal than it does to go underneath in mines to pull it out. And so they've already lost tons of jobs, and so they're trying to hold on to what they have. And you understand that, but there are also some courageous people who. Most of whom grew up in coal families, who understand that this is a losing proposition, that they are overseeing the destruction of their homeland, the place that they and their parents and grandparents and going way, way back generations grew up in and lived off the land, and they understand there has to be a better way. But unfortunately, the coal companies have a lot of power, a lot of money, and they use fear for people who are living really literally from day to day just trying to survive. And so there's that constant tension between the jobs and the environment. And what they're trying to point out is there doesn't have to be that tension.
Sure.
You can have good jobs and a clean environment at the same time.
Which has been a long time debate and back and forth for quite a while. You know, we saw it in the loggers on the West Coast with the environmentalists who did pitch out and out war on each other in the 80s a bit.
And if I can kind of tie it into to why is a Chicago alderman concerned about that? Well, the very same type of coal that is dug up in West Virginia is burned right here in Chicago in 2 coal-fired power plants on the southwest side of the city that are literally spewing tons of toxins into the air every day that we all breathe. We breathe here in Rogers Park. They breathe in the southwest side. And also really impeding our efforts as a city to achieve the goals of our climate action plan, to reduce the amount of carbon that's spewed out into the air, to make our city and our nation cleaner, more environmentally sustainable places to live. And until you understand that it's not just about Chicago, that there are that this is a global issue that involves everybody. Until you kind of understand it, until you see it for yourself, you really don't get the full picture.
I remember being told by someone who did this work and contracted for this work that on the eve of George W. Bush's election, they were poised to do the work to clean up or to do the retrofitting on the chimney in the Pilsen plant, following along with a number of others, some of that work that had preceded it, and it just got 86th as a next in line project.
But I think the point, though, is that no matter what kind of scrubbers you put on those smokestacks, you're still number one burning a fossil fuel.
Right.
That even if we remove some of the toxins, the lead and all that, it's still creating a devastating effect on our climate in terms of global warming.
You know
and also, of course, it's still having a devastating impact on the communities where the coal is being extracted.
You know that president that we elected last year still uses the phrase "clean coal" as if something like that exists.
Well, we need to educate that
him.
president, and the good thing is that unlike the previous administration, there is a lot of debate, a lot of heated debate within the Obama administration. So there are a lot of people who share the view that those who care about the environment share, that we need to get away from our reliance on coal as a fuel source, and they are making those strong arguments in the administration, and at least there's an ear to that there wasn't in the previous administration.
Okay, let's hope he hears it.